All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shalom in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. If I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe we receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise the Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, 2 Chronicles 30 and 6. Peace, brother Omar, man. 30 and 7. Be not like your fathers and like your brethren, which trespass against Yahuah Alahym of their fathers, therefore gave them up to desolation. Shalom, brother. Now be you not stiff-necked as your fathers, but yield yourselves unto Yahuah and enter into his sanctuary, which ye have sanctified forever. Serve Yahuah your Alahym, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you. If you turn again unto Yahuah, your brethren and your children find compassion before them that lead them captive, so that they shall come again into this land. For Yahuah your Alahym is gracious and merciful, and will not turn away his face from you if you return unto him. Let's come over here to Exodus 34.
I'm sorry.
34 and 5, Exodus. And Yahuah descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahuah. And Yahuah passed by before him and proclaimed Yahuah Alahym, merciful, gracious, long-suffering, and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, that would by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity upon the fathers, upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the third and fourth generation. Jeremiah 31 and 1. At the same time, saith Yahuah, I will be the Alahym of all the families of Yasharal, and they shall be my people. Thus saith Yahuah, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, Yasharal, when I caused him to rest. When I went to cause him to rest, Yahuah have appeared of old unto me. Yea, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn you. So, we've been going through this here in a detailed fashion as possible, spinning from what we've been looking at in 2 Chronicles 30. Now, knowing and considering that we wanted to focus on Hosea 3, which we started on, 1 Corinthians 13, and something else, man. Escaping my brain. But either way it goes. Shalom, Jay. We were talking about something yesterday. A verse got mentioned. I want to go ahead and take a look at said verse, and we're going to string some things together with it. So come over here to Proverbs 21. And I'll see what verse I'm going to start from in just a second. Oh, yeah, in Songs of Solomon. And I think we're going to be in Songs of Solomon 5 for our selection this evening. I want to come to Proverbs 21 and 1. I think when we had our delve through Proverbs, testimony-wise, that we ran through here. But there's a particular passage that I want specifically. Hold on one second. So here we go. The king's heart in the hand of Yahuah, as the rivers of the water, he turneth whithersoever he will. So listen, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahuah. Now, of course, this is going to take us as Shalom, Brother Marcus. That's not what we're doing. And you need to sit down or go get your book so that they don't be inclined to do that. Because when you're doing that, that tells them it's time to play. So get up and go get your book. Shalom, me. So when you look at the king's heart is in the hand of Yahuah, you know in John chapter 12, verse 49, he said, my Father has given me a commandment, and I know that his commandment is life everlasting. So therefore the lab or the inward part of the king is in Yahuwah's hand, and he move him as he desires. Because he says in John chapter 6 that he didn't come to do his own will, but the will of him that sent me. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this here, because of course, if we're looking at Chesed and Ahab, with juxtaposition to agape, which is juxtaposed to eros and things of that sort, this relates to the covenant. As we've been, go back there with that. As it relates to the covenant. And you know, I seen a lady today. Sit down. That was Civic. I wasn't even expecting him. He came to put in some work a day earlier and let Aria play with her friends. But y'all don't get to play because it's not playtime. Shalom on the stuff. So, dang, I forgot what I was going to mention. Shalom, Brother Robert. So I'm going to read Proverbs 21:1 again. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahuah as the rivers of water he turneth. That's what I mentioned in John chapter 6. He said he didn't come to do his own will, but the will of him that sent him. And why is this important? Because the king turns, Civic, give me the word will in Proverbs 21:1 real quick.
That's kafats, to delight in.
So he turns he turns him in whatever way that pleases him. Now, give me Romans 8:24 real quick, man. Romans 8, the epistle to the Romans, chapter 8, and verse 24.
So, for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope.
No, that's what I was referring to as a covenant. Praise you. So what I mentioned that is something in the book of Ruth, because a lady mentioned, I seen a lady mention on Threads that Ruth is not a love story. Now, the reason why I know why she would say that is because she was looking at it through the lens of Western romantic love stories. The love stories that you get from rom-coms, the love stories that you get from romantic novels, television shows, and this other sort. Now, Mama Steph can tell you this here because we was discussing this the other day, just mentioning certain things. And I noticed it might be different when people, Lord willing, when the book is completed and you get your hands on it and you can read it. And also just to know this ain't no cash grab. Because shoot, any of the proceeds go to Mom Dukes. You know what I'm talking about? The book is to lay out a fundamental contrast and comparison as it pertains to this particular topic, because it needs to be discussed. Of course, y'all know that we began discussing this to an extent in February. But now it's going to be able, by the grace of Yahushua, to grow into something else. And I mention this here because when we have these conversations verbally, it makes people extremely uncomfortable. It makes people extremely uncomfortable because how the human mind operates, especially as it pertains to love, but people see this as a personal attack. You know what I'm saying? The reason why people see it as a personal attack is the same way that a drug addict sees it as an attack when you have an intervention that you're telling them that they have a drug problem. You know what I'm saying? And what people think is this is about is discounting your emotions or your attachments. And it's not. If you want to be attached to somebody, that's your business. But you need to understand why you're attached to them. If you want to fall in love with somebody, that's your business. But you need to know why you fallen in love with them. But this is the contrast. But if you come in to serve Yahuah, you have to leave those two things at the door because they don't equate. Because his love is not expressed in a romantic fashion. His love is not expressed in an attachment style that is emotional. See, if you're going to be joined to him, then you can see you're not attached to him, you're joined to him. That's a cod. What I just asked you to get, because
Romans 8 and 24.
Before you read that, man, give me 1 Corinthians 6 and read verse 15. Listen what he said.
Know you not that your bodies are the members of a Mashiach?
Right.
Shall I then take the members of a Mashiach and make them the members of a harlot?
God forbid.
What, know you not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? The two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one
what?
Ruach. So flee fornication.
Pause. Now tell him what join mean in Greek. I can tell you what join mean in Hebrew. You're talking about a cod.
That is kalau. That is to glue together, to cement, to fasten together, to join or fasten firmly together.
Fasten firmly. This is not about an attachment, because attachments usually have codependency attached to them. And the codependency is not a part of this joining together. This takes you back to the tribe of Levi, whose name means join. Now my husband will love me because we will be joined. This is why Adam states, and you'll leave father and mother and you'll cleave to your wife and you'll become one flesh. Do me a favor. Go to Genesis 2, read 21. We'll give them the definition of cleave. I'm doing this to establish the separation of what it is to be joined to God and attached to a person. Because falling in love is again, we went through this, it's an attachment style. It's an attachment style based off of your attachment to your initial primary caregiver. Now, through research, Mom Dukes found even more information that attachment lasts for 18 to 36 months, which at the conclusion of that, this is when the dopamine begins to subside. And now you make the decision, is this going to be an actual enduring love based off of deed and truth? Or are you over the emotional high that you were on and you discarded and look for your next fix? Now, when I was thinking about this before we was finna get started, it made me ponder and realize this is why a lot of people walk away from the word on the Israelite side of things. Because they were drawn in with you, the people. We got next. Whatever the case may be, whoop, whoopty whoop. And once that initial attachment has subsided, they walk away and they won't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? Some of that attachment is based off of the looking for the next doctrine. The next thing, the only thing that's keeping a lot of these people in this thing, man, is the debating, arguing, and fussing. Because they need that toxicity feeds that chemical cascade that they need to be continually addicted to this particular endeavor. But they're not joined to this man, so they don't have a desire to continue. Their desire to continue is rooted in things outside of him. Go ahead, Sue. Where you at now?
Genesis 2 and 21.
Run that.
And Yahuah Alahym caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he found his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuah Alahym had taken from man made he a woman.
Made him a woman.
And brought her unto the man.
What he said?
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones.
Flesh of
my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
First thing when he say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, he's already communicating that this is not an attachment. We're a cod. We're one. We are joined one of another. It's a totally different type of deal. Go ahead, man.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother.
And do what?
Cleave unto his wife.
And they shall be
one flesh.
Tell them ahead and give them what cleave and one is on the how, man. You can read them. You know, one gonna be if you can read that on the how, but give them cleave, man.
Cleave is the bot, to cling, to stick, to stay close, to cleave, to keep close, to stick with, to follow closely, to join to.
They're joined to. They stick close or they're joined together. This is not an attachment. Again, attachments is rooted in emotional deprivation, if you would. This is why when we had this conversation the other day, and I'm telling people I don't need an emotional attachment, this is what makes people nervous, because what do you mean you don't need that? I don't need that because I'm a grown man. That's why I don't need it. It was the same way a lady said, well, the lady posted on Threads today about women nurturing men, and she was like, I'm glad you said this. God told her, don't no grown man need to be nurtured by no woman biblically. You're supposed to be nurturing your wife. That's what the text tells you to do. She was like, I'm glad you said that, because God talked to Adam and not Eve. And I'm like, well, you know, praise Yahuah that you understand that. And I'm only mentioning that because that's a Western thought process, that the woman is supposed to be nurturing a grown man, when it is the other way around. It's the other way around. When we're talking about strictly what nurturing means, which is to aid to the growth and development of. You can't say that you are a man, a leader, all this other type of stuff, and then you're turning around asking for a woman to nurture you. When you as a grown man open your mouth and say that, you are saying that you are deficient of motherly love, care, and attention, and you're seeking for a grown woman to give you that, and that situation and dynamic is always going to fail. You know what I'm saying? When you sit back and you look at some of the things that you see in this particular society about the things that some ladies may complain about men, it's because these men have deficiencies that they don't even know they have. So they're looking to get this, they're looking to get their mama from their wife. Notice that when you look in your law, this man say you're going to leave your father and mother and cleave to your wife. Your wife is different than your mother. When you were joined to your mother, that was a different dynamic. When you're joined to your wife, it's a different dynamic. This is why I say a husband should nurture and cherish his wife. It didn't say that the woman should nurture and cherish her husband. Now, I had to add the cherish part because you should cherish whomever you love. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, what you talking about? Wash clean with the water of the word. Well, that's in Ephesians. It's in that epistle letter. And then you can read that verse for it, man. Hold on, give it a definition of one. And you can give him Ephesians 5. It's 29, I believe.
That's a con. That's one.
One. You're one. That means, and you know what that means? One heart, one mind. Same thing you seen in Jeremiah. The same thing he wrote in the other epistle letter. One faith, one baptism, one Alahym. It's not an attachment. You're one. As Paul wrote to the assembly in Corinth, that you speak the same things, having the same mind and the same heart. Y'all think your mind, your hearts is knit together in one. I'm not attached to you, siphoning off emotional energy, leaving you drained because I'm insufficient and deficient emotionally because my people didn't love me properly. Go ahead and Ephesians 5:29. And I know that, listen, we haven't talked about things from a psychological aspect and this capacity in probably about almost 10 years. You know what I'm saying? But when you go to discussing things of this capacity, it makes people uncomfortable because now you're going to have to pause and you're going to have to look at yourself and assess yourself. And this is part of the reason to a certain extent why some people don't care to go to therapy. Not because therapy is inherently bad. Now, for some people, they don't need to go to therapy. They need to just go do something. You know what I'm talking about? When I say do something of note. But some people need to go. But some people don't go because now you have to look at things about yourself that you don't want to look at. Because some people don't want to sit back and look at, damn, I didn't get XYZ from my mama. And this is why I act like this and act like that. Or I didn't get this XYZ from my daddy. So I'm talking about as forth as how you're dealing with the opposite gender. Or maybe even your friends. You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead, man. Ephesians 5:20.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
But he do what?
Nourish and cherish it.
He do what with it?
Nourish and cherish it, even as the Lord the assembly.
You can read them 28 because that's going to sound like an incomplete thought.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that love his wife, love himself.
He that love his wife, love his what?
Love himself.
Now you can see how that relates to Genesis 5, what we just read in that aspect of love. And they take us back to when he say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You can't love anybody if you don't love yourself. So that means if you mistreat yourself, when you get joined to neighbors, when you get joined to the opposite gender, you're going to mistreat them also because you don't love you. So you're not going to love anyone who you come across. See, now people look at that in the aspect of, you know what I'm saying, people beating on people. I'm not going to go to that level of extreme of behavior. Oh, no, I didn't say such a thing. That's for people who be having their nuts crossed, mama. Ain't nobody say that. I just put that out there because some people be hating. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to have to cut them off at the pass because it be some hating niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? They going to have testicular cancer all the way around the ball, mama. That's all that was. Ain't nobody said such a thing. But if that's what Monsignor is set to do, then that's fine. I'll follow his lead on that if that's the order then. I ain't got no problem. Yes, ma'am. If that's your order, I'll follow that also. What I need you to do, so, give him the definition of nurture.
Nourish is ektreful, to nourish up to maturity, to nurture, to bring up, to cherish.
Notice it said to nurture, to bring up, to bring to maturity, or to train. And see, that's a harsh reality for a lot of ladies in this society, because they'd be like, what could a man can't nurture and train me? He can't bring me up to maturity. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, that's what he told the man supposed to do to his wife. So if that's something that you feel like this man is not capable of doing, either you married to either you married to the wrong man, or you don't need a husband. If you're gonna be in this. Now, if you ain't in this, you can do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? We have to make this delineation, right? If the people are outside the house, how they operate ain't none of my business. But if you inside the house, this is how it goes down. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And I'm saying this for everybody because you have to know how to make the distinction. Because he said, without dogs and sorcerers and murderers and everybody who loveth and maketh a lie. Same way when Paul says, should you judge those that are without? He said they are already judged. So we can't be running around here trying to focus on pushing a standard to people who don't hold to it anyway. But for those who make that profession, this is what it is. And if you have a problem with that, you need to holler at Yahuah when you see him. Because there's a lot of things that I'm not going to do, and go back and forth with you about it is one of them. You know what I'm talking about? Because it say what it say. Because if you want to look at the framework of why he's telling you this, considering that Ephesians 5 say, husbands, love your wives as a Mashiach loved the assembly and loved the body. Because when you turn around, who taught Eve? Adam did. So that means he was nurturing her. Who taught Yasharal? Moses did through Yahuah, which means Yahuah was nurturing them. What you think Yahushua was doing? He was nurturing them. He was bringing them up to maturity. He was training them. That's just what it is. That's the framework of why Paul is giving this example. You don't agree with that? Fine. Take that up with him. But it say what it say. And you're either going to get with that or you're not. Go back to Romans 8, man. 8 and 24.
For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope.
It's not hope.
For what a man see, why do we yet hope for?
If you can see it, you ain't got no expectation.
But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Wait for it.
Likewise, the rock also help our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the rock itself make intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered.
Can't be uttered.
And he that searches the hearts know that what is the mind of the Ruach, because he make intercession for the saints according to the will of Alahym.
According to the what?
To the will of Alahym.
According to his pleasure. Go ahead.
And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Alahym,
who are called
according to his purpose.
According to his pleasures. You know what I'm saying? So come back to Proverbs 21:1. So when he said the king's heart is in the hand of Yahuah as the rivers of water, he turned it whatsoever he will. He turned Yahushua according to his pleasure. And he fulfilled his pleasure. The greatest part about it is that's what the son was about. But verse 2 is what we hear though. Well, verse 3 actually, but he's going to read verse 2. Every
way of a man is right in his own eyes.
But Yahuah do what?
Honor the heart.
Tell him what ponder means. You know, he tell you, man, hey, man, there's a way to seem right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. Shalom, Sister Virginia.
That is to to regulate, measure, estimate, to ponder, to balance, to make even, to level, to weigh, to be equal.
He say, hey, man, he gonna
test, to prove.
He gonna test you. He gonna prove you. He gonna weigh you in the balance because everybody's way is right in his own eyes. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that you have to be careful that you don't get yourself caught up on. It seemed right to me. It could be right to you and wrong in heaven. You're going to find yourself in somewhere you don't want to be. That's the next one, man. Verse 3, what we came here for.
To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to Yahuah than sacrifice.
To do what?
To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to Yahuah than sacrifice.
Tell them what justice and judgment is there, man. It's simple. Y'all going to know what it says. It ain't nothing extravagant.
Justice tzedakah, justice, righteousness. Judgment is mishpat.
Now, this came up yesterday, right? And this was an appropriate verse to use based off what we was discussing as it goes to the love and mercy of Yahuah. So we were discussing this aspect, man, and it really show how wicked a lot of brothers in this word are, that they don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? And what was being discussed was Yahushua healing on the Shabbat. Yahushua and the disciples eating that corn. The high priest who gave David that shewbread. And we've talked about this plenty of times before in different fashions. Individuals think that to deny mercy and loving kindness to a man to keep the instruction is acceptable to God. And it show you that they don't even know him when Solomon has just told you justice and judgment is more acceptable. Give him acceptable by definition.
That's hard to choose.
So this is it's justice and judgment is better to be chosen to Yahuah than you slaughtering a beast. Now I want you to go to 1 Corinthians 13:1 because what I'm going to relate these things to is loving kindness and how love don't seek her own. Remember, we've already read this passage in 1 John 4. Alahym is love, and everyone that is begotten of him loves. But love looks like something which Paul is going to express in 1 Corinthians 13. And of course, if you go back to 1 Corinthians 11, when he was rebuking them about some of y'all coming here for the Passover and some of y'all drunk and fool when you lead this person off in the cut. And all she said, and all that mess stemming from did Jesus sin? Because that's what these people are arguing about. Is that did he sin by eating food on the Sabbath? Did he sin by healing people? Do you not understand that this means that they didn't know God? These people don't know God any better than the people 2,000 years ago? And the process of when we start, most of y'all don't be here when it first starts. We start with 2 Corinthians 30, right? And then we go read Exodus 34. Y'all already know, if you round here a lot, what Exodus 34 say. And when he declares his name, the first thing he says is that he's merciful and gracious. Nobody wants to go read Jeremiah when he says, this is what it is to know me. I'm Yahuah that exercise loving kindness. That's the first thing he said. Judgment and righteousness. So when you see Yahushua come back later and say, hey, man, judgment, mercy, and faith, these are the weightier matters of the law. Nobody cares about that. You know why? Because he's not in them. They're not joined. There's no way you could be joined to this man, and mercy and love and kindness does not exist in you when that is literally the complete foundation and formulation of who he is. But this is what it means when he say the letter kill. And that you seek to be justified by the works of the law and not submit yourself to the righteousness of Alahym, which is by faith. See, nobody don't want to hear that because, oh, that's that Christian stuff. That's how they try to, and I hate to use this term, but this is what they use on this particular capacity. You want to try to muddy that up. You want to muddy that up to excuse the fact that you have piss poor character and your spirit ain't right. When you go read Luke 9 and the disciples say, should we call from heaven like Elijah did? And Yahushua say, man, you don't know what manner of spirit you is, man. We didn't come here to destroy men's lives, but to save them. Remember, Paul said, man, he has given us the ministry of reconciliation. This is what he's given us, and everybody here should know because we read Daniel 9 all the time. He says, hey, to make an end of sins, to finish the transgression, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring an everlasting righteousness and anoint the most Kadash. So Daniel is giving this foreshadowing of what Paul come and tell you later. Man, this is the service of reconciliation. This is the service of atonement, which is, I'm trying to get us to lead this up so we can get to that Kippureth. That mercy seat, that seat of reconciliation. That's literally what his throne means. His throne literally means the seat of reconciliation, which for all intents and purposes means it's a throne of love. If you understand what love is from Yahuah's point of view. Not love from an emotional point of view, not love from an Israelite point of view, not love from a Christian point of view, but love from the Almighty Alahym, Yahuah of hosts is his name's point of view. And since I said that, before you read 1 Corinthians 13, read me Isaiah 40 and 25. For one statement that Yahuah made. I'll let Yahuah be esteemed. Come on with it, blood.
To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Kadash one?
Talk it then.
Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who have created these things.
What else he say?
And bring out their hosts by number. He called them by names, by the greatness of his might.
That's right.
He is strong in power, not one failed.
What else?
Why say you, O Jacob, and speak, O Yasharal? My way is hid from Yahuah.
That's
my
right.
Judgment is passed over from Alahym.
That's right, Mama Steph.
Have you not known? Have you not heard?
Have you not heard?
That the everlasting Alahym, Yahuah, the creator of the ends of the earth,
faint not. But there's no what?
There is no searching of his understanding.
There's no what?
Searching of his understanding.
There's no what? That's why
understanding.
everybody out of pocket, because ain't nobody searching for his understanding. You're not searching for his insight. You're not searching for his thoughts. So that's why you got niggas around here talking about, did he sin? Well, you wicked as hell. The fact that you think it's a sin because a woman has an issue of blood that she's been afflicted with for 18 years and a man saw her and was moved with compassion to remove that from her, and you thought that was a transgression, you ought to go to hell. You know what I'm talking about? You ought to go to hell. The fact that you could see somebody hungry and say, no, you can't give him that. That's the shoe bread. Well, you ought to go to hell, man. Now, we were reading to this evening just because, or maybe not. But the high priest, he didn't even think in his mind about you couldn't have the bread. All he said, man, y'all boys clean. That's all he was worried about. He had already known, I'm going to feed him. There's nowhere in the world I'm going to send this man away and let him be hungry and tell me I can't give you this because this sanctified bread. Nigga, that's dumb. Do you realize how stupid that is, man? The same way he tell you in Isaiah 58, hey, man, ain't this a day for you to deal your bread to the hungry? These jackasses would sit back and know it's been a man been fasting every day before atonement. Nah, brother, you supposed to afflict your soul. You wicked bastard. Get it. That man, he fasting every day. Shalom, Sister Kelly. He fasting every day, blood. Every day. You be like, no, I can't give you nothing to eat, brother. Absolutely, Emma. His whole covenant is mercy. The whole thing. And again, and us even talking about mercy is stemming from me talking to my homeboy, telling him, hey, man, that mercy and grace is the same in the old as it was in the new. It never changed. He's always been like this. This ain't no different God in the New Testament. It's the same God. You just got to see it performed live and in person in your eyes in flesh. But it's the same. It never changed. This ain't no Christian point of view, my nigga. This is the point of view of your maker. The fact that we have taken mercy and love and kindness and regulated it to a religious denomination shows purely how unfaithful, unbelieving, and desperately wicked we are as a collective. And completely devoid of the love that the man was trying to instruct us for us to exhibit and promote and to be seen. Like straight up and down, man. I ain't trying to be hyperbolic, extra, or nothing. Boy, this junk is dastardly. You understand me? This is reprehensible. Like straight up and down, man. That whole new covenant is built on mercy, blood. The whole thing. The old was built on a promise to somebody. The new is built on mercy, man. Read it for him. Jeremiah 31 and 31. I don't want nobody think we make. You can read it off the paper.
Behold, the days come, saith Yahuah, that I'll make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and with the house of Yehudah.
Listen.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, and the day that I took them by the hand.
Which?
To bring them out of the land of Egypt.
Which?
Covenant, they break.
They did what?
They break.
Now, when we go back to Exodus, you see they broke it. You see they broke it. And because they broke it, what he did? He declared his name. When he made a new one, he declared his name and told you I was merciful and gracious when he made him a new one. See, they don't be picking up the gospel, man. It'd be right in their face. That's why he say, look down from Shamahin and see if there was any that understood and seek God. And guess what? He been looking down from heaven. It don't look like it's too many. We're going to have to keep it a buck. It don't look like it's too many. Come on with it.
And said, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahuah,
right.
This shall be the covenant that I'll make with the house of Yasharal after those days.
What it's going to be?
I'll put my law in their inward parts
and
write it in their hearts.
And
will be their Alahym,
and
they shall be my people.
And
they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother.
See, this is the part of that they want to focus on. We still teaching people, so we ain't in it. Use a dummy. Go ahead.
Know Yahuah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest.
And if you know that means the knowing by experience. That means you would have received his ruach. Of course, you would have known it. Go ahead. But it's the part though.
I'll forgive their iniquity.
I'll do what?
Forgive their iniquity.
I'll do what?
Forgive their iniquity.
And their
remember their sin no more.
That's mercy, man. That wasn't attached on the first covenant. That's why we can literally say that the new covenant is a covenant of reconciliation, which is what Paul is expressing in 2 Corinthians 3. The new covenant is literally, which is in this chapter, is where he say, I've loved you with an everlasting love. I'll draw you with love and kindness. The covenant is literally a covenant with love. It takes us back to what we read in Ezekiel 18 when he said it was a time of love. I entered into a covenant with you. But this ain't love based off no feelings, blood. This ain't love based off nothing other than the literal mercy and loving kindness that encapsulates who Yahuah is, which you see manifested in the personage of Yahushua HaMashiach. 1 Corinthians 13:1.
Though I speak with the tongues of men and of Malachim and have not love, I'll become a sounding brass.
If I have not what?
Have not love.
I just sound like loud noise.
And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and
right.
though I have all faith, so that I can remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing.
I'm nothing.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profit me nothing.
It profit me nothing.
Love suffer long. And
love do what?
Suffer long.
What else?
It's kind.
Is what? It's what?
It's kind.
Pause. Let's take a look, because he said to do justice and judgment is better than sacrifice. So let's come over here to Luke 13 and let's read it then. Luke 13:10.
And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on a Shabbat, and behold, there was a woman which had a rock of infirmity 18 years. 18 years. And was bowed together.
And she couldn't do what?
No wise lift up herself.
And when Yahushua did what?
Saw her.
He called her
to him and said unto
and
her,
what he said?
Woman, you are loose from your infirmity.
And he laid his hands
on her, and immediately she was made straight and esteemed Alahym.
And the ruler.
The synagogue answered with indignation.
Wicked bad. Listen, how you mad, my nigga? How that make you mad, bro? You seen a woman being afflicted with something for 20 years where she could barely lift herself up, and that made you mad? And you got grown men in 2026 reading this right now talking about, oh, Jesus sinned. Go ahead, man.
Because that Yahushua had healed on the Shabbat day and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work, and them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Shabbat day.
Let me tell y'all something, man. You think God mercy stop on the Sabbath, bro? This is how stupid an argument these people have. You think God mercy stop on the Sabbath, bro? Now, the brother made the point of what the Lord said in John 7. When we can read it, he said, you'll sacrifice a man on the Sabbath, but you ain't going to heal nobody on it? We was having the same conversation, right? Like, he said don't do no work. Technically, the priests work every Sabbath. He said, and of course, the Lord said that they blameless. Oh, that was Rob. We had a conversation here, and Rob was asked, is it the fire or is it the work? No, it's the actual work. Them boys don't get no day off. You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at the advent of preaching and teaching, you still working. That's not a day off. You would be blameless. Because this is necessary. That's why I said for the feast day, is the only work can be done is that every man must eat. You know what I'm saying? Because this man already knows there's certain things that have to be done. Not just sitting around looking at each other stupid. So you know what that tells us? That tells us that the men who have been instructing us are failing us. I'm talking about extremely failing us. They're failing us because we are not learning on how to take on the mind of Yahushua. Therefore, to have the spirit of Yahushua. Therefore, we would have the behavior of God. So again, how do we cloak these things? By arguing about, is this the divine counsel? Is it a virgin birth? Arguing all these other things to move yourself away from spiritual character development. Because you have grown intellectually, scripturally, and you've grown scholarly, but you haven't grown spiritually, and you still are the same wretched, miserable, wicked individual you were when you started. But you've been able to dress it up very well. Or as the Lord said, these are wicked sepulchres that look beautiful outwardly to men, but inwardly they're full of hypocrisy and dead man's bones. And remember that hypocrisy literally means unfaithful. It's kanah. I mean, you're not faithful to the word. You're not faithful to this man. So you was looking that the other day, the same thing in heaven going on. The work never ceases. The spot never closes. The 24, it never closes. You say the 24 courses resemble the 24 elders. Yeah, it never stops. Never stops. People really think, oh, it's Sabbath. The Lord just shut everything down. I mean, he just ceased and desisted from that work to give you a day to cease and desist from your own works, not the works of God. That's what people miss when they read that epistle in Hebrew. He said that you may cease and desist from your own works, not the works of God. The works of God never stop. That's why he told you that there's a river of living water. It flows continually. It never stops. That's why he said you never cease from yielding fruit. It never stops. To say that Yahuah stops is to say that Yahuah dies. He said he don't get weary and need no rest. Nigga, is you cool? What's wrong with you? Why is you arguing about that with people? And why you think you justified in heaven by doing it? My God, today. Come on, blood. Verse 15, Luke 13. Then,
Lord then answered him and said,
you what?
Hypocrite.
Do you not?
Each one of you on the Shabbat loose his ox or his ass from the stall, lead him away to water him.
And ought not.
This woman,
being a who?
A daughter of Abraham,
whom
Ashatana bound, lo, these 18 years,
should she be
loose from this bond on the Shabbat day?
See, that's loving kindness. He said love is kind. We referenced Jeremiah 9:24 when he said loving kindness is what he take pleasure in. And he said he would draw you with loving kindness. You don't think that woman was drawn because he shown loving kindness to her? That's what love looked like, man. It's kindness, it's compassion, it's mercy. That's what it looked like. So when he tell you that Alahym is love, listen, 1 Timothy 3:16. Read that real fast, brother. I'm going to do it. I know a nigga ain't going to like it. I don't care. I read verse 17 real fast. And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed. And all the people rejoiced for all the esteemed things that were done by him. And they ought to have been ashamed. Because, nigga, what's wrong with you? And the same people arguing about did he sin, if he was manifested in the flesh, or if we all lived amongst one another in the same city and performed the work that he performed, they would say the same thing. He's sinning. Just neglecting the fact that this woman was bound by a grievous disease and he healed her. And the people are rejoicing and esteeming God, and you like, nah, that's wickedness, bro. He shouldn't have did that. It's the Sabbath. You niggas disgust me. 1 Timothy 3:16.
And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Alahym was manifest in the flesh.
Manifest in the what?
In the flesh.
What else?
Justified in the Ruach, seen of Malachim, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into esteem. Listen, now I read that because he said Alahym was manifested in the flesh. And we talked about this last week. He said, if you seen me, you seen my Father also. When you saw him, you seen the character of his Father. Alahym is manifested in the flesh. Now, some people sit back, Jesus ain't God and all the time. Man, Alahym being judge and ruler. Is he not your judge? Is he not your ruler? Is he not your king? The same way that he's not the Most High God. Don't y'all mean Davidic king? Is he not a king from the line of David? I want you to do me a favor and read me Isaiah 33:22. Get caught up in all that. I don't even know why people caught up in all that, because if the Father bestowed that on his Son, you're not taking nothing from the Father if the Father gave it to him. How you fighting harder than the man who gave it to him? I want you to esteem my, and you know why he did that? Because if you don't respect my Son, you ain't gonna respect me. Because everything he do, I taught it to him. Everything he is, I am, he is. And if you don't got no respect, love, and reverence for him, you ain't gonna have none for me. And you know what we out here doing? Fighting for this man as if he like, and he probably sitting in heaven like, look at you, you big dummy. You ain't fighting for me, you fighting against me. My God, today. Come on, man. For Yahuah is our judge.
Hold on, Yahuah is our what?
Is our judge.
And Yahushua your judge. Okay, and what else he is?
Yahuah is our lawgiver.
Is he not the one who give you the instructions? Because he said you're going to come up to Zion and the law going to proceed from Zion. And what else he is?
Yahuah is our king.
My God, today. Shalom, Brother Mark. We're going to leave that alone because we can go on another route. We ain't going to do it. Not today, anyway. Come on. Come over here to John chapter 7. You can read in verse 16. We hold in Proverbs 21 and 1 Corinthians 13.
Yahuah answered them and said,
What
my
is
doctrine is not mine. But
my doctrine is not what?
It's not mine.
But his.
That sent
See
me.
how they say that the king's heart is in the hand of Yahuah. He turned them like a rivers of water. He turned them whichever he pleased. Go ahead.
If any man will do his will,
he shall know
of the doctrine,
whether
it be of Alahym,
or whether.
I speak of myself.
It's funny that it's 2026 and these people still think this man was speaking of himself. Listen, people think that's a black. This is not because these are unintelligent people. This is not because these are inherently wicked people per se. It's because your Father in heaven didn't want them to see it. So they won't see it. And I know some people look at, oh, that's a cop-out. Man, that's what it say in this book. Now, you could take that and you could do whatever you want to with it. But that's what he said. And I just sit back and you can see it in real time. If he don't want you to know, you're not going to know. If he don't want you to see, you're going to forever be very blind. If he don't want you to hear, your ears will forever be stopped. And if he don't want you to believe, your heart will be made hard as concrete and granite. Go ahead.
He that speak of himself seek his own esteem, but he that seek his esteem that sent him,
the same
is true,
and there's no
unrighteousness is in him.
And he said, did not
Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keep the law? Why go you about to kill?
Now see, this passage, this is what some Christians take to mean that you can't keep it. He didn't say that you couldn't keep it. He said, you go about to kill me. He said, Moses gave it to you, but don't none of you do what he gave you. Go ahead. All right, Joanne, that's enough.
Said people answered and said, you have a devil who go about to kill you. Yahuah answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and you all marvel. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers. And you on the Shabbat day circumcise a man.
You on the Shabbat day do what?
Circumcise a man. If a man on the Shabbat day receive circumcision, the law of Moses should not be broken. Are you angry at me because I've made a man every whit whole on the Shabbat day? Judge not according to appearance,
but judge.
Righteous judge.
Now look how he just cut him. Y'all mad with me because I healed the man on the Shabbat? Now what does this go back to? This actually go back to chapter 5. Come on back over here to chapter 5, because this is what he's referencing. He's referencing John chapter 5 and verse 1. And again, we just focusing and isolating the aspect of love is kind.
After this, there was a feast of the Yahudim. Yahuah went up to Jerusalem. Now there's at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches.
And they're late.
A great multitude of impotent folk,
blind,
halt,
withered,
waiting for the moving of the water.
For Malachim
went down at a certain season into the pool.
And did what?
Troubled the water.
Whosoever.
Then first after the troubling of water stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had.
And a certain man
was there which had an infirmity 38 years.
Now we just read about somebody, we're going to read this in Acts 10:34 in a minute. We just read about somebody having an infirmity for 18 years. Now you got somebody who done had one for 38. Listen what he say.
When Yahuah saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case,
he said unto him,
will you be made whole?
The impotent man answered him, Sir,
I have no man when the water is troubled
to put me in the what?
Into the pool.
But while
I am coming, another step down before me.
Yahuah said unto him, what?
Rise, take up your bed and walk.
And immediately
the man was made whole, took up his bed and walked.
And the same day
was the Shabbat.
The Yahudim
therefore said unto him that was cured.
Listen what they say now.
It is a Shabbat.
My
day.
God.
It is not lawful for you to carry your bed.
These people crazy as hell, man. Let me tell y'all something. That law say, I'm gonna get it for you. This law say don't do no servile work. That's what it say. Say don't do no servile work. I'm gonna read you this here. It's in 1 Corinthians 23. Leviticus 23:7. Is referring to the Sabbath for unleavened bread. The first day you shall have a Kadash congregation. You shall do no servile work therein. What does servile mean? Abado, labor, service, labor, work, labor of a servant or a slave, labor, service of captives or subjects, service to God, work of any kind, bondage, bondservant, effect, labor, ministering office, service, tillage, use, work, wrought. Now, They turn around, and it's the same thing what some people do now, and they make everything work. That's not work to carry no bed. See, a lot of people think the man that was killed in Numbers 15 for the sticks was killed. He wasn't killed for picking up sticks. He was killed for trying to kindle a fire to cook manna, man. Let me stay where you at, man. But that's when people you don't read. You see something. I ain't gonna say you see something. People say stuff, and then they just run off tackle with it. Now listen, this is Numbers 15 and 32. While the sons of Yasharal were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Shabbat. They that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation, and they put him in the ward because it was not declared what should be done unto him. Yahuah said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the assembly shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as Yahuah commanded Moses. Now, when you sit back and you heard that, right? No matter how many times we go through the gospel, it never ceases to me how wicked the scribes and Pharisees were. And when I say wicked, and I know what you mean, it's just the aspect of being so ardent that we have to keep the commandments, to where the keeping the commandments superseded having care, mercy, love, and compassion for flesh and blood, which is what we pretty much seeing in these days and times. See, a lot of people are screaming somebody's a Pharisee because they scream keeping the law. See, the issue is not screaming that. I mean, a lot of them is like that because you scream to keep it, but you're not keeping it. But it's more so is there's no love and there's no mercy within the hearts of these men. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that it made you angry, that someone who was afflicted with something for so long was healed, says a lot about the inward character of the individual. You know what I'm saying? In the name of keeping the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Which is wild when you think about it. But now you got to ask yourself, right? If he's picking up sticks on the Sabbath, this is when you have to have understanding of the text. Now, for some people, it don't say that directly, then, hey, they're going to have an issue. This goes back to the conversation that we had when he said in Exodus 35, don't kindle no fire in your habitation. So if he's gathering up sticks, what is he gathering up sticks for? To kindle fire in his habitation. Well, what did Exodus 16 tell you? Bake what you're going to bake today and seed what you're going to seed today. Because on the seventh day, ain't none going to be out there. So because you have understanding of the text and what's going on for the context, then you know what this man was picking up sticks for. He was picking up sticks to kindle fire in his habitation, to cook some manna, and he wasn't supposed to do that. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. And that word for ward there, it's going to translate to the mind of God. So they was waiting on what the Spirit of God going to tell us to do with this individual. Like I said, man, read Numbers 15:32. Go back and read Exodus 35:2. Go back and read Exodus 16 in its totality, and you're going to see. Because that's what, again, people take Exodus 16 and say, oh, you can't cook on the Sabbath. That's where they're getting that from. But clearly we read the other day in Exodus 12, he said it's lawful on the Sabbath that for every man to do, for him to must eat. See, people think he was stoned for working. He wasn't stoned for gathering the sticks. He wasn't never supposed to be out there in the first place. You know what I'm talking about? Because whatever he had to cook should have already been made. Because he wasn't picking up no sticks, boy. Is you dumb? You think it's work because he carrying a bed? It's literal labor or work. I'm just mentioning that because Numbers 15 is not about work if you have understanding. Because you have to sit back and look at it, right? There's no additional context given from 32 to whatever that section ends. So that means you're supposed to know. And it goes back to what he said in John 7:50. Those that don't know the law are cursed. So individuals don't be knowing. Because you want to make it to be about what you want. You got thousands of people every Sabbath sitting at the house looking stupid, eating cereal and cold cuts, man. When this is literally an appointed time, it's supposed to be a joyous occasion. And you around here rushing and speeding, man, you go in there and cook something for these people. Man, I'm telling you, man, it brews right now. I'll let you starve on the Sabbath. Nah, bro, I can't fix you nothing to eat, brother. I can't buy nothing on the Sabbath, brother. I'm hungry, though. I ain't ate in 48 hours. Be warm and filled, brother. Keep the Sabbath. That man ain't going to want to worship your God, bro. Because you know the difference between Yahuah and you? Yahuah was going to feed him. You were going to let him starve. That's the difference. You's a dummy. Go ahead, man. Where we at?
We go to John 5.
Oh, no. Keep it going. They finna disrespect it. John 5 and 10.
Said the Alahym therefore said unto him that was cured, it is the Shabbat day, it is not lawful for you to carry your bed. He answered him, he that made me whole, the same said unto me, take up your bed and walk.
Now listen, you think it's a sin if the Son of God who say, hey, I'm sent forth from the Father, if he tell him to take it up and walk, that's something that we in this day and time should consider. I could see where they would make the mistake at. Why are you making it though? Say realistically, wouldn't planting or gardening be considered unlawful? I mean, it's only going to be considered unlawful if you're trying to sell it. But that's something that, why would you be planting and gardening on the Sabbath anyway? You know what I'm saying? That can wait. You ain't got to put no plant in the ground on that day. That ain't no pressing matter. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I say that, because there's no plant that you could make that could sustain and feed somebody instantaneously. See, it'd be different if you drop the plant in the ground and you could be able to reap the fruit of it to feed somebody right then. There'd be no need to do all that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like fixing somebody's something to eat, oh, that's instantaneous. Just instantaneous. Now, if you want to be like, nah, I'm going to prepare my food on the 6th day, then prepare it then. You know what I'm saying? Prepare it then. But to sit back and tell people you sinning if you do it on the weekly Sabbath, but you're not sinning when you do it on the high Sabbath is outright stupidity of the highest order. And I don't even know how anybody rationalized that in their brain to where that makes sense. Oh, to see this Sabbath different from this Sabbath. When he say I'm Yahuah, I change not. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. But I got special. No, don't do this on this Sabbath. But this Sabbath here's. Don't you think that mean the weekly Sabbath would be of greater importance than the Sabbath for tabernacles and unleavened bread? Because you can do something on those you can't do on the weekly. It makes sense to you that you can't do this on the weekly Sabbath, but you can do this on this one that come around one time a year. That makes sense to people. And you know why I don't? You know why? Because when them people put feast there, instead of putting what Moedim mean, this is an appointed time. This is a fixed time. Because that's what it means. These are fixed times. That means on the 7th day of the week, you come here and do this. On the 15th day of the first month, you come here and do this. On the 14th day, or the 15th day, of the 7th month, you come and do this. Niggas be out here putting burdens on people, man. Go ahead, man.
Then I say him, what man is that which said unto you, take up your bed and walk? And he that was healed knew not who it was, for Yahushua conveyed himself away,
right?
From being in that place. Afterward, Yahushua find him in the temple and said unto him,
what he said?
Behold, you are made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto you.
The man departed
and told the Yahudim that it was Yahushua which had made him.
And therefore,
did the Yahudim persecute Yahushua and sought to slay him?
Because he what?
Done these things on the Shabbat day.
And what Yahushua answered and told?
My Abba work here too, and I work. Therefore, the Yahudim sought the more to kill him, because he had not only broken the Shabbat, but he also said that Alahym was his Abba. So
he showed loving kindness, and that's what they missed. That's what they missed. Go back to 1 Corinthians 13. Hold on. Let me read Acts 10 and 34. Because we ain't got a lot of time this evening. We'll have more time. Oh, yeah, programming note. We'll be starting at actually, y'all willing, 1 o'clock on Saturday, man. So everybody need to actually be there by 12:30, 12:45. Because he's going to open the doors at 1. You know what I'm saying? And we'll start shortly thereafter. So programming note. 1 o'clock. Or shortly thereafter on Shabbat day. It's a programming note. Act 10 and 34, man. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that Alahym is no respecter of persons. Tenfold. Standing still, he's still waiting on confirmation, but that's what it is right now. Sun changed, and we'll let it be known. But in every nation, he that fear him and work righteousness is accepted with him. The word which Alahym sent unto the sons of Yasharah, preaching shalom by Yahushua HaMashiach, he is Lord of all. That word I say you know, which was published throughout Yehudah and began from Galilee. And after the immersion, which Yachanan preached, how Alahym anointed Yahushua of Nazareth with the Ruach HaKodesh and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for Alahym was with him. He went and did that which was pleasant. You know what I'm saying? Come on, 1 Corinthians 13, man. What verse are you?
Verse 4.
All right. 1 Corinthians 13 and 4.
So love suffer long and is kind. Love envy not. Love vaunt not itself. It's not puffed up.
It's not puffed up.
Does not behave itself unseemly.
It don't.
Seek not her own. Is not easily provoked. Think no evil.
Think no evil.
Rejoice not in iniquity.
Don't rejoice in perversion, but rejoice in what?
The truth.
Listen, he say take pleasure in faithfulness. Rejoice. Now, y'all willing, we're going to look at some of those things more in depthly when I got more time on the spot. I got about 30 more minutes right now, though. But I'm not going to be able to go through all that in 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I want you to think about what he say. Don't rejoice in that which is perverted and distorted, but rejoice in that which is steadfast and reliable and faithful. And that's the difference between romantic love and the covenantal godly love that Yahuah expresses. Romantic love / falling in love is not steadfast and reliable nor faithful, simply because it is rooted in emotion, and emotions change. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want that euphoria that comes with that, that's fine. But I need you to understand and know this, that falling in love is strictly emotional. Strictly. You know what I'm saying? Romantic love is rooted strictly in emotions. This is not a shot. This is not a dig. This is just is. You understand? So when you're dealing with emotions, emotions can never be something that are reliable and steadfast because they fluctuate. This is why Yahuah says, I'm Yahuah, your Alahym, I change not. This is why he said Yahushua HaMashiach the same yesterday, today, and forever, which is why he said, I loved you of old with an everlasting love. So that love that he possesses, it does not change. That's why he say rejoice in the truth, or rejoice in the Aman, the Amath, and the Moon. I don't care what it means in Greek, because I ain't even referencing that right now. You know what I'm saying? And that is something that is steadfast. So when he tell you that Yahuah is the rock, and that if you take heed to his words, he likened you to a man who built his house on a rock, that when the winds come and the storms come, that house didn't move because it's built on a rock. That's why he tell you to rejoice in that, because that love, that's why he say love never fails. It doesn't change. Therefore, it is steadfast. You say, I've always believed that love can produce emotions, but I wouldn't say that love is solely an emotion. This is the thing, though. What we perceive as love producing emotions is just the advent of the chemical release in your brain. I'm talking about from a clinical standpoint, just strictly from a clinical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It's just the aspect of, because actual love shouldn't make you feel nothing. As far as emotions is concerned. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm mentioning that because Paul let it be known that if we are Hamashiachs, what we got to crucify, Civic? Our affections and lust. So when you look at Yahushua, he felt the love of his father. That wasn't rooted in any emotion. Now, I know that's hard to, like, of course, living in our carnal reality, and you hear that out loud, that seems to abjectly make no sense. That seems to be absolutely and utterly ridiculous. And understandably so. You know what I'm saying? But when we begin to understand, to take on the mind of a Mashiach and that we suffer in the flesh to cease from sin, and the things that always come from that, we see that actual godly love is not going to produce an emotion, because emotions change. You know what I'm saying? That's the one key component. And this is something that I've known my entire life. You heard, your feelings will change. He says love never fails. So the love that Yahuah produces is going to produce something in you that is continual, which is why he say you never cease from yielding fruit. It's like rivers of water. It's continual. It's continual. You know what I'm saying? But see, those are not emotions. See, affection is not an emotion. An affection is something that you do. You know what I'm saying? And all that comes from is because we not taught proper definition of words. You know what I'm saying? Because when you understand what words mean, then you realize that we equate things that don't necessarily mean what we thought they meant. You know what I'm talking about? Because affection is also his passions. You know what I'm saying? Now you can go to Galatians and give him the definition of. Go ahead and give him the definition from the Greek of affections and lust.
That's pathema. You either got afflictions, which one has suffered, or you got passions. You got an inward state, or of an inward state.
Now, see, the definition of affection in English is a gentle, positive feeling of liking, fondness, or tenderness towards a person. See, this is often expressed through physical acts like hugging or verbal affirmations. Synonyms of affection: fondness, tenderness, attachment, love, warmth, heart, regard, soft spot. So again, you look at physical affection, that is an actual physical display of love.
And then you got emotion, you got an emotion or influence.
Emotional influence. Case in point, when you seen John laying on Yahush's chest, that's an outward display of affection. This is my brother, I love him. You know what I'm saying? You want to look at another outward display of affection? This man getting hung on a tree and suffocating on his own blood. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But again, affection is really not an emotion. You know what I'm saying? See, when we talk about people want, at least that's not what you communicate. But when people say, "Oh, love produces emotions," what they're really referring to on a neurological, chemical level is it produced dopamine, it produced oxytocin, it produced vasopressin. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, that causes an emotional response in the individual who is having the chemical release. Because godly love is not going to produce dopamine. It's going to produce a rejoicing in the ruach of that individual, but it's not going to produce dopamine. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to produce oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, because you should have been bonded through your faith and not through a chemical release in your brain. Now, and this is detailed somewhat in the book, because of these chemical cascades, this is how individuals confuse God said you my spouse. I believe God want me to be with you. And now your mind is deceiving you based on what you think is love, when in actuality, you're a chemical crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Again, we talking about this here for you to distinguish. Hold on, how am I put this on here? Let me read this to y'all again. I think I read this other day. Let me read this to y'all again so we can be clear. What you got on there, Marvin? Emotions, feelings, fleeting like the different functions of the wind. They are. And of course, living in society, I can understand why these things be difficult, especially for ladies, because ladies are more subject to be in tune with their emotions than men are. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that men don't be emotional. It just means that they just have a proclivity more often than not to lean into that than men do. I'm talking about just naturally. All women don't do it, just like all men don't necessarily refrain from leaning into their emotions. We're just talking about in a general aspect. You understand? But when we talk about from a godly aspect, we can't move by emotions, because your heart is the seat of your emotions, which is why he said you got to make a new one. You know what I'm saying? And that new one has to be formulated after the mind of God, which is after his ruach and not after your emotions. That's why he say the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Because the seat of your emotions will lie to you. The seat of your emotions will tell you down is up, left is right. A girl is a man and a boy is a girl. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up and down. And that's only because, and I said, and that would come if we would have to sit down and deal with the socialization of this here, right? Because this advent of love being an emotion and love producing and eliciting emotions is rough, maybe not even 1,000 years old, as far as a concept that is commonly expressed in human history. Because this is a Caucasian thing. This is not something that was done in antiquity, whether you're talking about Japanese, Chinese, Mongoloids, East Indians, African people, so-called Negro people. This is a Caucasian experience. This is a Caucasian instruction. This is something that they came up with. And because they're the dominant force in the world, and when I say the dominant force in the world, I'm talking about as far as being able to influence mass media. Because they have that dominance in those areas to influence those things, they have perpetuated this particular mindset throughout the world. Now, of course, we've read other pieces of information where other people in the world look at the advent of falling in love and love being as emotion as something that is abjectly sick and makes no common sense whatsoever. Now, considering that we live in the United States of America, we wouldn't see it that way because you've been bombarded with this from the day that you were born. So you don't know anything else. So anything, that's why I mentioned that earlier, like when because we were discussing the man in Louisiana who killed Autumn Churn. And as he did all this because that woman broke up with him. And I was telling them, I say 9 times out of 10, he was emotionally attached to this woman. And when that woman severed that emotional attachment, that nigga went haywire. And this is not to say that he had a mental illness. He did have a mental illness, in my personal opinion. I'm not a clinical psychologist, so I can't say in my professional opinion. He had a mental illness because he was in love with this woman. And when she severed that attachment, he snapped. And people don't want to deal with that, but people know that I've always said, you don't want a man who's in love with you. You don't want it. That nigga gonna hurt you. If he is emotionally attached to you and you sever that attachment, that man may hurt you. Straight up. I've always told you that. I didn't tell you that because we started delving in this particular topic. I'm not saying that because this man just did this. I've been saying this. As a man, that's probably one of the dumbest things you could ever do in your life is to fall in love and be emotionally attached to a woman. It's probably the most destructive, idiotic, dumbest thing you could ever do because it's not going to be profitable for your mental and spiritual and emotional health at all. At all. And Emma just found out they mentioned this here, man, it only lasts for 18 to 36 months. So anything past 36 months, this nigga's a lunatic. This nigga's a lunatic. But see, we don't want to hear that because we've been socialized to think this is how we should be. I'm fighting against the social engineering of social and socialization away from covenantal godly fidelity. That's what I'm concerned with expressing. I don't care about upholding societal norms. We're going to hold the banner of love like he said in Songs of Solomon, man. He said he held up a banner of love for me. We're going to hold up the name of Yahuah. We're going to hold up that banner of love and the love that he represents. I don't care about the love they selling. The love they selling is to make you a consumer. The love they selling is to keep you manipulated to be a slave and a cog in their machine of their God-forsaken society. I don't care to uphold that. Personally. Now, if you say, I want to be in love, then go be in love then. I'm not going to ridicule you about it, but I'm going to give you the proper information for you to understand what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. What you're seeing and why you see it that way. And that makes us uncomfortable. It's no different than when somebody came and told you your church was lying. Now your reality is being shattered. And human beings don't like change. Now, me personally, I never loved in an emotional fashion because I wasn't raised to. It was just, he had a straight love for her. He saw her and he desired her. That's what he said. Then he had love for her, and that love was rooted in his deeds. When you look at everything that Jacob did, see, people read emotion into it only because of how we're socialized. So I don't really knock nobody for that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way that I mentioned the lady was talking about Ruth and Boaz. We're going to look at it from a Western lens of romantic love because that's the only love that we've ever been taught. You know what I'm saying? So we have to look at it. Oh, he must have really loved her. He desired this woman. He knew culturally you had to pay a dowry. The father said the dowry was this, and that's what he did. And he seen but a little bit of time because this is the love that he had. You're not working for somebody for 7 years based off no emotion. Ain't no emotion lasting for 7 years. I ain't even talking about it because it ended up being 14, just the initial 7. Ain't no emotion lasting no 7 years, man. Not to be doing no labor. You talking about being a doggone shepherd? You think you finna go out and shepherd for a woman for 7 years based off a feeling? Man, first time one of them sheep boo-boo on you, you gonna be like, man, I don't know if this worth it. Indeed, and that's what I told the lady too, and a few other brothers mentioned that also. That Ruth and Boaz is the foreshadowing of the covenantal love of the kinsman redeemer, which really was a love story, a foreshadowing of the greatest love story ever told, which is greater love hath no man in this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. You know what I'm saying? But I get it as forth as an emotional aspect. Like I said, it wasn't hard for me to see these things once I got in the word, because I was never raised to love people like that anyway. You know what I'm saying? That means, and I say that means that you're going to be, when you don't love emotionally, that means you are precise and deliberate and exact where you put your love at. And look what Emma just said. Love produces freedom. If you love someone, you let them go. You don't kill them. Whole family based off of fear, a loss of attachment, and guess what the Lord told you? Well, the ruach of the Lord is there's freedom. If the Son shall set you free, you shall be free indeed. You free from debt and obligation. You know what I'm saying? That's why he say, "Oh, no man anything but love." When we understand what love is from a godly perspective, then you see that I can actually be deliberate and specific about where I place it. I could place it in somebody for no reason whatsoever. Then I wanted to place my love here, because that's what he did with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He said they didn't do anything. He said you weren't the greatest people. You were the least. There was no reason why he said his love there other than this is where I wanted to place it. So he was deliberate with it and specific and made it manifest plainly. You know what I'm saying? You hear grown people say you can't help who you fall in love with. That's the dumbest thing anybody could ever say to you. But you know why people say that? Because I can't help where my emotions take me, because I have no control over them. So if the dopamine in my brain says I love this person and I love this person, even though this person don't love or care about me, but they make me feel a certain type of way. I don't want no love that make me feel nothing. I don't want to feel nothing. I want you to show me by your actions that you love me. I don't need to feel nothing. What I get out of that? A temporary rush, a temporary sensation, a moment of euphoria. What happens when the euphoria passes? You realize you don't like this person. You know what I'm saying? And now you're looking for the next person. That's why you got so much hoeing in America. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got so much of it. And then this is why you have so much divorce here. That's why you have so much of it, because there's no godly foundation of love ever being taught to anyone. So we're chasing a feeling. We don't even realize that we're chasing a high. You're chasing the high of love. And most people will go their entire life and never experience godly love because you were chasing a fantasy love that was sold to you from a Hollywood basement. My God, today. Where we at, City? Hold on, let me read the fundamental things of this here, man, so y'all can know the framework, what we're discussing, right? I think I read it the other day. I'm going to read it again. Hold on. A felt experience can be fully real and simultaneously misrepresent its object. Nowhere is this more consequential than what is commonly called love. Greek thought maintained necessary distinctions: eros, acquisitive desire; philia, relational reciprocity. That would take us to the assembly of Philadelphia, and we can deal with that because Philadelphia means brotherly love or brotherly kindness. You know what I'm talking about? Agape, volitional, covenantal commitment. The English collapse of these into a single term had produced a conceptual confusion with measurable relational consequences. This work restores those distinctions. The manuscript integrates neurobiological research, classical philosophy, historical and cultural development, and canonical theology. The objective is not reinterpretation, it is realignment. Objection 1. Does this reduce love to biology? No. Biology explains activation. It does not define relational meaning or commitment. Does this invalidate emotional experience? No. Emotional experience is real and significant. It is not self-validating without structural evaluation. Is covenantal love emotionally empty? No. It is emotionally stable, not emotionally absent. It is not dependent on fluctuation to sustain itself. And can intensity ever correspond to real love? Yes, but intensity alone does not by itself establish that conclusion. It must be tested against stability over time. Now, this is something that you have to sit back and you have to consider. And of course, we already talked about this. This is not to destroy any of these things. It's to bring an understanding. So how would you instruct a young man who was raised with someone that didn't teach him love? He only learned being loved through movies, music, American culture. How would you instruct him to approach women moving forward? Oh, that's fine. The first thing I would tell you is 1 Corinthians 13 is how you would approach it. And how you would approach it is, if love is who you are, then that's who you are. Now, this is where the kicker come in at. You can place your love with people who are worthy of it or undeserving of it. And then also you can remove it. But if you're dealing with a woman, the attributes and characteristics of love that you possess, you would be able to see you could be able to identify them very swiftly in this woman who you're dealing with. Because you wouldn't be moved off of emotion. You wouldn't do what he said in Proverbs 6 when he said, don't lust after a woman's beauty with your eyelids, because if you're desiring her body and her physicality, that means you're being thirsty. Something gonna go wrong. See, when you move with love, you're not moved by lust and you're not moved by feelings, so you're not going to be thirsty. You're not going to make a bad decision. Most men make bad decisions when it comes to women because, like you said, you're learning this through movies and music. So you're learning to seek a love emotionally. You're trying to sustain her emotionally and then be who you perceive that she wants you to be emotionally. Now, considering that we're talking about godliness, that's not going to lead to the covenantal godly love that an individual desire. If we remove godliness from the play and just be on the natural tip, it's going to cause you to fool with a woman you probably ain't got no business fooling with, because your lust, your loins, your heart, and your eyes are going to deceive you and convince you that this individual is something that they're not, based on how they make you feel. You know what I'm saying? So you approach love practically. You know that you take, see, this is the biggest thing, right? Don't nobody who's unmarried need to be worried about being with nobody until they know who they are. And then if you in this word that you know who you are and Yahuah HaMashiach, then you need to be concerned with dealing with the opposite gender. If you don't know who you are as a man or a woman, then you're going to misidentify with the person that you choose to deal with, because you're going to see them for who you want them to be versus who they are, because you won't even see yourself for who you are. And you're going to make a gross miscalculation, because you're going to calculate based on how this person making you feel versus how they behave, and do they have love in them. If you got love and kindness in you want to be with a woman who ain't got it. If you got patience in you want to be with a woman who ain't got it. Now, it depends when you at a certain age, but man, once you get in your 30s, I ain't got time to wait for you to sort that out, baby. I ain't got that type of time. Because by the time I wait for you to sort that out, you have been done drained me and destroyed me. Because that's what people make the biggest problem at it. You want to emotionally heal people, and that's not your job. I've been told y'all that. That's going to be more dangerous to you, not to the other person. You're going to be running around here trying to do this and do that. Man, you can't do that with nobody. They got to do that for themselves. Same way people do it with people. I'm in the word. I want her to be in the word. Man, that woman don't want that, cuz. And now you're going to run around trying to convince her to serve God. It's one thing if you already married to him. But if you ain't married to him, what you doing that for? That's stupid. That's not showing no grace. That's being dumb, because you're not doing that for their benefit. You're doing that so you can feel comfortable for being with them. And that's not love, because that's selfish. Because love don't seek her own. You're not seeking their healing because you want to be with them. You seeking their healing, or you seeking their salvation so you can feel comfortable by being with them. And that's the ugly reality that don't nobody want to hear. Because I done seen it, and I've told people this. You're not doing that for them. You're doing that for you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing that for them. Because if you was doing that for them, you wouldn't have to be with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to have this interpersonal relationship with you. If I'm concerned with your spiritual well-being and your salvation, I could just be able to walk with you until you become what it is that you desire. Not so I can feel better about being with you. Because that's what you're doing it for. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight them down. I've told grown men this several times. They get mad at me. You don't want me to be happy. Nigga, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But I know what you're doing, cuz. And you need to hear it out loud. because that's what you're doing. And you're trying to mask it as love. But you don't love this person. You have an emotional attachment to this person, or you have a desire to this person. And that's what you're trying to do. And you should just say that out loud so you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? So you can be real with yourself. Because see, most people, you're so pressed because of attachment issues. You would rather attach to an individual who would drain you emotionally than to be joined to your God so he could join you to somebody who would enhance you spiritually. Ain't that ugly as hell? My God, today. That's what we out here doing, though. Because everybody pressed and you're horny. You know what I'm saying? Because you want some friction. You want to rub genitals. And that's deceiving you too. Come on back, man. What we at, sir?
1 Corinthians 13, or we good with that?
We got to get off here in a second. Come back to Proverbs 21. Read verse 3 again.
To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to Yahuah than sacrifice.
Listen, now I went through all that because of what we're talking about, him showing love and kindness. I'm going to start something. I got to read something in Songs of Solomon when I get here. Now, again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with, if you want emotion, there's nothing wrong with none of that. Let me read it. I couldn't find it. I think I sent it somewhere else. I know I sent it to somebody. I can just get it from that. So again, in the orientation of this text, we are making the distinction that experience is not interpretation, intensity is not validation, and love is not a single category. If these distinctions are not maintained, the argument would collapse. We have layered this constraint with historical record precedes interpretation, linguistic form governs meaning, archaeological and cultural context frame application, symbolic and theological readings remain bounded by the above. With modern terminology, e.g. neurochemical or psychological language is introduced, it serves as an explanatory function only and does not replace the conceptual categories of the biblical text. All claims are distinguished as attested fact. Historical inference and interpretive conclusion. Speculation is not presented as evidence, but this work does not assert that all romantic attachment is false, that emotional experience is invalid, and that desires are inherently disordered. It only asserts that the misidentification between categories of love produces predictable distortion, and those distortions can be examined, tested, and corrected. And that's really that's why I mentioned it when we talked about it on Valentine's Day, that it distorts. Romantic and falling in love distorts reality. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to make sure that we can correct that reality is not distorted. That therefore, if you do have a love attachment, that it's an attachment that's actually out of love. You understand what I'm saying? That if you do have an emotional upheaval or swelling in you, that you don't misappropriate or miscalculate or misidentify those emotions and why you're having them. I say that because most people can't even identify why they have the emotions that they have. You know, we throw these terms around in these days and time, being emotionally available, being emotionally intelligent, and this, that, and the third. But you have to have the ability to identify, why do I feel this way? What is causing me to feel this way? You can't even begin to process to properly identify if you don't even know why you feel that way. If the only thing that we're concerned with is the feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what a junkie do. He don't care where he get his dope from as long as he can get high. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, what was the last one? I can't remember. And that just because you desire somebody doesn't mean that it's evil. And that goes back to the question with Jacob and Rachel. Jacob desired, and I still got to pull them 3 Hebrew words up. You know, desire in of itself is not evil. There's proper desire. You know what I'm saying? There's proper desire, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? That in of itself, remember, disorder just means, you know, you're not doing things properly. See, when you have improper desire, you do things improperly. That's how you end up, you know, the married bed undefiled, meaning you'll lay with a woman who's not betrothed with no intent or desire to marry her, just to get a physical release. But when there's desire that is rooted in godly desire, then the desire is the intent to show forth the framework and the pattern of what a godly interaction between a man and woman should look like. We're going to be flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones, and we're going to be a cod. It's not rooted in the aspect of I can just get your loins, which is what a lot of these doggone, quote unquote, godly / religious relationships consist of. It's two people who are strictly rooted in a desire for courtesy, not a desire for godly union, not a desire for loving kindness towards each other, not a desire for selflessness towards each other, not a desire for grace or mercy, not a desire for long suffering, not a desire for any of these things, because that's another advent of desire. Because when he said, I have desire to eat this Passover with you before I die, you know what I'm saying? I have desire to show the pattern of my suffering, which is really the covenant of love that I have with you before I die. Let's give him that word for desire before we get out of here. Let me see what it is in Matthew 26. What that say? Let's see if it's in the beginning of it. It might be in another chapter. I don't think it's in Matthew. Now, again, we ain't trying to make nobody feel crazy or feel nothing. This is all for proper perspective. You know that I am real big on us having proper perspective. It's in Luke. Luke 22 and 15. So read Luke 22 and 13, and then we'll give them the definition of desire from there.
And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover.
That's right.
And when the hour was come, he sat down, and 12 apostles with him.
That's right.
And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer.
Tell them what desire. I mean, he say, with desire, I desire to do this.
That is epithumia, a desire, craving, longing, desire for what is forbidden or lust.
He said, I have a longing to do this with you. I've longed to do this with you. This ain't a forbidden lust right here. You know what I'm saying? I have a longing to do this before I suffer. To show the framework of that we're a cod. Because that's when he passed the bread round. Peace, Brother Joe. That's when he passed that cup round. We won. So you know what it's effectively? I have a desire to be joined to you. And for you to be joined to me. And that desire was rooted in love, because he already told you, greater love had no man in this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. That's where his desire is rooted at. Now, when you got a mind like how Jacob, that when he saw Rachel, he had a desire to love her. And that desire was rooted in his actions. He showed a pattern of love towards her over time. And that's really what we're trying to fundamentally express as what that godly love looks like in action. Because we could say it, but that's why we read examples of Yahushua doing it. Every time we've ever looked at this in depth, we want to look at examples of him doing it. So you can see what to mimic. Because he said, put you on Yahushua HaMashiach, put on his mind. You told this repeatedly because we want to mimic his behavior. Now, as we come into the continue on this with Lord willing, we're going to have to start incorporating the Kippareth or the mercy seat. Now, again, like I said before, you can have godly love with emotion, but godly love is not rooted in emotion. It's not the foundation. The minute we say that it is, you just said Yahuah is emotional, meaning that he has the same feeling. He can't. John 4:20 going to be a lot in. He said Alahym is a ruach. Everyone that worship him must worship him in ruach and in truth. Spirits don't have feelings. You know what I'm saying? They don't have feelings. Remember, he said the carnal mind is enmity against the law of Alahym. It's not subject to it. Our emotions and our feelings are not subject to the word of God. They're going to go against it. They're going to go against it because they're inherently against one another. The same way he tell you the flesh roar against the ruach. You know what I'm saying? The way you can't do the things that you ought. So what we're talking about is the ability to separate them so that, because the flesh always going to be with you, so that you don't misinterpret flesh for spirit. People do it every day. They do it every day. With this particular endeavor, we're seeking to help, if it helped with one individual, be able to make the distinction, and also so that godly love is promoted. Listen, man, romantic love don't teach long suffering. Romantic love don't teach being slow to wrath, to be patient in anger. It don't teach it. It's no way it can. Because he said anger rests in the bosom of fools. So if you say you love somebody, that long suffering would cause that anger to abate because the love would be greater than the anger. You can't get that out of emotion. That has to be rooted in godliness, man. You know what I'm saying? The love that Yahuah had for man was greater than the wrath. That's why you had the mercy seat. But let me get up there, man. I'll be on here all night. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all. I bless y'all at the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Y'all willing. We'll be back Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Tentatively just prepare to be out east on Saturday, but it's just waiting on confirmation. So if we got the switch, I'll let that be known. But nevertheless, like I said, right, every time we discuss this, it's a hard saying, as it say in John 6, when you're talking about emotional love. It's a hard saying. It's difficult to process. But I understand this here. The difficulty to process is not rooted in that you lack understanding or something is inherently wrong with, peace, Brother Omar, with any of us. It's rooted in the socialization and social engineering of the society that we live in. You understand? So all we're discussing about is something that flies in the face of the socialization that we have experienced. You know what I'm saying? None of us can genuinely say with 100% certainty that for the duration of our entire existence before coming in the word, that you were raised, taught, and molded into godly love. Because that's just not the reality of the situation, of the circumstance of the society that we live in, because that is not what is commonly promoted. So unless your people were raised up in the word and that tradition was passed down, which is not the reality for most of us, you know what I'm saying? The overwhelming majority of us, our socialization of love came through New Edition, Keith Sweat, Tony Braxton, Joe, Case, Avant, The Notebook, this movie, that movie. What's up, Godmother? You know what I'm saying? This book, that book. Like I told you, man, they put on TV shows to socialize love by having the overlooked nerdy dude chasing after a whore, trying to win over a whore. And you wonder why men out here be trying to win over whores, because you ain't even realize they've been socialized since a child that this is something that they should do. Especially white boys, because that's the main theme in their TV shows. And because mass majority of us have spent an inordinate amount of time in front of a television in your formative years, watching movies and TV shows and consuming all types of music, this is what has formed your idea of love in your brain. But nobody ever gave us the love of Yahuah to juxtapose against that. So that's why we view it in this capacity. You know what I'm saying? Again, I thank Yahuah for my grandma. Because how many of us were genuinely raised by people that say love is an action word? It's what you do. It's not what you feel. And again, this was not a lesson that I got from men. This is lessons I got from women. Namely, Joanne, Rosalind, and Chandra Bonton. That's where I got that from. My daddy ain't never say nothing like that. My granddaddy ain't never say nothing like that. They showed love through action, but they ain't never say nothing like that. Those three women hammered that point home, that this was not something that you feel. It is something that you do. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at that, you know what I'm saying, you understand the sacrificial aspect of it, where the selflessness come in at, which is discussed. And again, you see where the love and kindness come in at. That's why I say to do justice and judgment is more to be chosen than to zabak or to slaughter something. And justice and judgment say to show love and kindness and mercy. He say, what is it to walk humbly with your Alahym, but to do justice and show mercy? And again, that's literally what his throne means. That's literally what the new covenant is, based on Jeremiah 31. Hey, man, your sins and iniquities, I ain't going to remember them no more. That love we get out here, man, that's not rooted in that. You know what I'm saying? It's a world love don't even work nothing unseemly. Don't keep no record. You got people, man, they remembering everything that nigga did. That woman throwing up everything you ever did. Man, that's not no love, man. That man say, I blot out your transgressions like a thick cloud. We ain't taught to do that. say you was talking to a young lady caught up in Lori Harvey. Oh, once you knew that, you should have left her alone. Most people don't even know Hollywood people to get into a contractual relationship that don't even be real, and we be trying to defend these PR relationships and stretch. Yeah, man. I mean, people trying to live vicariously through people who have a life that they wish that they had. Because most people don't like the life that they have. You know what I'm saying? So they think that these people have a better life. You don't know what these people got going on. They just got more money than you. You see what I'm saying? All right, thank you, Yahuah, man. You know what I'm saying? Slow, man. Like, yeah, that's all that is, man. You know, godly love is enduring love, man. It's enduring. Romantic love is only lasts as long as the emotional attachment. And I ain't even just saying that because a lot of people love their friends emotionally. You love your family emotionally. This is why people be so extremely devastated when attachments get severed, whether through death, whether through people, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean with people you were joined to, if they pass or they leave, that you're not going to be sad about it, obviously, because you love this individual. You know what I'm saying? Amen, Brother Joseph, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's just a part of it. Well, you know what I'm saying? I tell you, man, you know, it's a lot of things. Listen, those emotional attachments make people commit suicide, turn people into alcoholics, drug addicts, because they seeking to fill that void. When we take a step back objectively and take our feelings out of it, you know what I'm saying? And just look at things for what they are versus what we would want them to be, then we can see things. You know what I'm saying? But when we have our feelings ingrained and admired in it, we ain't gonna never see stuff right. You know what I'm talking about? But y'all willing, man, let me get on up off of here, man. Y'all willing, man, I'm gonna catch y'all on the Shabbat, man. We're gonna make it do what it do. Till that time. All right, y'all.